Does Destiny 2 have artificial difficulty right now? First off, what is artificial difficulty? Artificial difficulty is when a game is harder, not because of improved design or challenge, but by employing cheap tactics that feel unfair or frustrating. This often involves artificially increasing enemy stats like health and damage, reducing players' resources, and or introducing flawed mechanics that punish mistakes rather than reward skill. Essentially, it's difficulty added for the sake of making the game longer rather than enhancing the player's experience. After reading that definition, does Destiny 2 difficulty falls under that umbrella right now? Short answer is yes. Right now in Destiny 2 new expansion Edge of Fate, Bungie added a new difficulty called Mythic, and it's hitting a controversial talking point in the community right now. Some players enjoy the difficulty, while other players dislike the difficulty. Every player have a right to their own opinion, but the point of today's video is to point out that this isn't an opinion-based matter and that this is a legit artificial difficulty in Destiny right now. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Referring back to the definition of artificial difficulty, Destiny hit key points that points to fake difficulty. Increase enemy stats, aka health and damage, and reduce players' resources, aka less ammo in this expansion, and less builds and gun options available to use for the new difficulty, which inevitably causes the gaming experience to be longer, but doesn't actually enhances the player experience and cause them to improve at the game. I enjoy difficulty as much as the next player, but as of right now, Mythic difficulty is just there to make players play longer, not actual difficulty. We still using the same builds from a couple seasons ago that works for in-game content. Hunters are still rocking one prismatic build with all we got, can't use anything else, with Inmost Light and Signoracne, with a sprinkle of grapple melee in the mix now because it works with combination blow. Titans still rocking prismatic with Consecration, Arc Thunder Crash with Thunderlord, or Strand with Banner of War again because they buffed up their melee, right? Warlock still using Prismatic with Devourer and Stasis turrets with a juiced up Song of Flame super. Nothing have really changed or enhanced the player experience. Nothing was adapted to rise up to the challenge of Mythic difficulty. The only thing that happened was players spending a longer time in there, not because of a challenge to overcome, but because of bullet sponges and insane damage. A good example of artificial difficulty that Bungie did in Edge of Fate right now is the working for the intrinsic perks for Graviton Spike. Not only did Bungie do too much where you have to go to 3 different locations just for one perk, but one of them you literally had to fight a Vandal boss in a small cave room, and as he did a lot of damage, was already tanky with him being at a delta of 270 and you being minus 70 towards him on Mythic difficulty. Bungie threw turrets in the room that literally can one-shot you. So you literally had to stay far back in a tower fighting the boss and just basically peek shoot him the whole time and basically just keep dying and resetting non-stop to do it, while one of your teammates had to stay back and stay alive because the whole team get wiped, then the boss disappear, and you got to run back to that area all over again just to redo the boss fight. Horrible game design. It was a terrible experience. Me and my team probably spent a good 40-45 minutes fighting him over and over and over again because of how bad it was. Just terrible difficulty. Now, of course, if we're going to speak on artificial difficulty, we have to speak on authentic, real difficulty, the good kind. Good difficulty is when game devs code the AI to react a certain way based off the skills of the player, when there are certain game mechanics created for the player to overcome, because the game designers are aware of the skill level players should have at a certain point in the game to test them. Basically, difficulty has to be planned tactically, okay? The game designer has to think about, is it realistic inside their game world? Is it balanced in the game world? Is it a fair experience towards the player? They have to stay true to the core of the game. Inside Destiny, it's known that we use primary ammo on red names and orange names. We use special ammo on yellow names, and we use heavy ammo on bosses. That's the fundamental that been engraved on the player since Destiny 1. Right now in Mythic difficulty, primary ammo tickles red names, and can't kill a thing, okay? Can't kill nothing. You're forced to use special ammo consistently in order to kill red names and yellow names, even though resources are limited. Special ammo do not drop as much as they used to before pre-Edge of Fate. And heavy ammo is tickling bosses as well. Not only is this new difficulty is now not realistic, you know, in the world of the game, it also doesn't follow what the game been teaching players for years in its fundamentals, forcing players to have to play a certain way in order to succeed. Why do you think most players are running Choir 1 as their special weapon so they can use it like a primary weapon in Mythic? Why do you think players abused the third iteration bug before it got patched? Because even the players know it doesn't make sense that they have to use special ammo to take out a red name Dreg and use heavy or pop a super or an orange name in order to kill them. It's simply bad game design for difficulty. Nothing more, nothing less. Even the raid had hella bullet sponges that made the experience unengaging according to the pro players that did it. I'm not excusing them, but it's probably the reason why we seen 70% of the day one raid completions were cheaters. It's easy to cheat when all you gotta do is deal with bullet sponges and not actual difficulty when it comes to like mechanics in the game to adhere by. And before anyone say, but content creators complained the game was too easy, y'all get what y'all deserve. Y'all got the difficulty y'all asked for. Stop whining. Content creators ask for more difficulty. Yes, not fake difficulty. Root of Nightmares was too easy because of design. Salvation's Edge was difficult by design, not because of bullet sponges or damage. But I digress. From a person that studied game design for years in college and still study up on game design, there are key points that create a true difficulty increase for players that game devs follow all the time, like Dark Souls. 1. Players should be able to beat the difficulty through learning from their mistakes and paying closer attention to things like the mechanics or attack patterns. 2. The reason the player failed should always be clear and understandable. 3. There should be multiple solutions to the difficulty so players can tackle the challenge in any way they come up with. 4. The game controls should never be the reason why the difficulty is hard. And 5. Lastly, fun, which some players forget about. Gaming is all about having fun. If you don't have fun accomplishing the challenge and feel rewarded after beating the challenge, then the difficulty wasn't good indirectly. Destiny 2 Mythic difficulty missed a lot of these key points. There's nothing for the players to learn from in order to beat it. It's just time consuming bullet sponges and peek shooting. No mechanics. And if you mess up a peek shot and die, you didn't learn anything to do different. You're right back to peek shooting again. A player should never be punished for making a mistake, but rewarded for their skill at the game. Like I said earlier, everyone using the same builds in order to do it, so there isn't multiple solutions to the difficulty. There's so many bugs in Mythic that the game controls make it difficult. Can't sprint bug. The no supers from rallying a flag. Being in a mission too long and your controls stop working, like gun disappearing, not being able to use Metaspart, can't use supers, enemies acting weird, not being able to shoot your gun, etc. Bugs only seen in Mythic difficulty because you're in the mission long enough for it to happen. Especially during the Cyclops mission with the 2 Cyclops bosses. Lastly, it's just not fun. You don't feel like you accomplished anything great. You don't get amazing loot for your effort and you just wasted 30 minutes to an hour in one mission shooting a boss for 15 minutes. My team accomplished Mythic and we did not feel accomplished. The only compliments we felt was thank God it's over. We don't have to do that ish ever again. Not thank God we beat it, that was a ball, we overcome something difficult. It was the opposite effect. Overall, game designers are the teachers, while players are the students. It's their job to present obstacles to the player that helps them learn and grow and get better at their game, so that the players feel good about themselves after realizing what they achieved. The difficulty should always be a learning experience and a way to communicate with the players on what skills is expected in order to beat said challenge. When a game manipulates its mechanics in order to beat you, not as if it's one step ahead, but as a skilled adversary, not breaking the game mechanics already placed, but utilizing the game mechanics themselves, that's good difficulty. Now, I don't want to sit here and act like Bungie only have artificial difficulty. That would be disingenuous on my part, okay? Bungie have shown good difficulty in Destiny 2 plenty of times. Raids like Last Wish King's Fall, Salvation's Edge have proven that. Pantheon was a great example of good difficulty as well. Even dungeons like Sundering Doctrine is a great example of good difficulty, but I'll speak on raids and dungeons in a different video. Edge of Fate has some moments that were good difficulty that was ruined by the bullet sponges and extra damage. For example, the final boss, the Archon Priest, whatever. That was a good difficulty boss. Not only were you required to use the new Matter Spark mechanic for the boss, which is always good in game designing, you want them to utilize the new mechanic that they added into the game for the players to use, but the boss had a unique mechanic that made players have to be cognitive during the fight. Some people may call it, some people didn't. But the Archon would do a periodic pulse wave that would change the enemies in the room into shock banes. Meaning, if you didn't handle the abs, there would be a ton of shock banes in the room, which is annoying to deal with because they kept shocking your health away from a long distance. If Bungie just focused on that mechanic and decreased the amount of health the enemies had by a bit, not by a lot, just make it that don't feel like it's bullet sponge. My primaries actually feel like they're doing damage to the enemies, then it would have been a perfect, encounter. Another good example was during some of the hidden strange lists you had to collect during mythic difficulty. It was the two you had to collect during fable difficulty. You had to kill the fallen in 4 to 5 minutes for one of them, which was good with the tanky health in that situation because you had to optimize your damage in this situation to beat the time trial, right? Utilizing Matter Sparking mechanics as well, and the Gravity Banes put a cherry on top on difficulty. If the damage they did was toned down just a little bit, not by a lot, it would have been a perfect difficulty, regardless of the bugs my team experienced during that time. The tanky health was a good touch in that scenario. I don't believe tanky health should be everywhere in the game on the difficulty, but in certain challenges, it's okay to have if it's meant to make the mechanics utilized more in that boss fight to add a good difficulty for the players to overcome. Another one was the fallen boss with the mines. The mines kept spawning while enemies in the boss shot at you. The mines wasn't attached to no health thresholds on the boss, so literally you had to multitask non-stop. You had to do boss damage, add control, and keep defusing the mines if you weren't done with the fight yet. And if you didn't dismantle a mine, then you had to start the whole encounter over again. Perfect example of a good difficulty. The bullet sponges there was acceptable too for that sort of challenge with the game mechanics because it was a battle of endurance basically. The only issue there was the enemy's damage output. One snipe and you was dead, which just isn't fair to the players. Like, there's nothing you can do about it or learn about it. If the snipe get off before you can kill them, then you're just dead. You didn't learn anything from it. But another good example with Bungie difficulty that they could have utilized more outside of artificial difficulty they gave us is smarter AI. Bungie have a smart AI that we witness all the time during contest mode. If you're not a person that played contest mode, the AI inside contest mode is different than the AI in the regular game. They are actually great, okay? They are more aggressive. They are aware of how the players play, so they throw grenades more when they know the player is camping. If the player is running, they chase. If they know they have to be killed in order for the player to progress, they will hide and force the player to have to approach them, etc. Bungie have smart AI in the game already, and they only utilize it in contest mode for some reason, and are very sparing with it outside of that. And I believe they need to utilize that more and harder in content instead of bullet sponges and health. Bullet sponges and the damage they do. One of the new banes in the game is a good example of that. I forgot the name of it. It's the one where it put out purple rings of fire on the ground. Bungie made the AI for those enemies that have that bane chase after you very aggressively while they leave the fire on the ground. So you dying from the take damage of the fire, and you shooting them, they can't get stunned, they can't flinch, they just aggressively being on you, causing you to have to play differently while that bane is out there. And there's other banes that make it more, strategic. You have to play more tactical as a player as well. Well, there's the Screed Bane, because Screed Bane, they just keep drop Screeds on the ground, so you got to kill them, but also shoot the Screeds on the ground, or the Screeds will kill you. And then you got the Threatling Banes, where if you ain't getting precision headshots, they keep making Threatlings on them, which make the players have to play differently. They can't just spam abilities and stuff. Time trials, Banes, smarter AI, engaging mechanics, a little bit of extra health and damage that doesn't disrespect the fundamentals of the game. It's stuff like this that creates a good difficulty in gaming. That's what gamers mean by the game is too easy, make it more difficult. Stuff like that tests players to learn and grow and feel accomplished during the challenge. Hopefully Bungie sees this video and understand the player feedback more. The route they taking right now with difficulty is just bullet sponges and damage. It's not fun, okay? It's not fun. It doesn't challenge the player. It's just straight lazy and time consuming. Pantheon and Raids is a good example of good difficulty. Players have to learn, grow, and adapt in order to beat them and feel rewarded when they do. Let me know what y'all think down below. I literally just went to an escape room a few days ago with the guys, and it felt so accomplishing when we figured out the puzzles and the mechanics inside the escape room, and when we beat the escape room within the time limit, we felt accomplished. And that's the same feeling you get in Destiny when you are accomplishing raids, when you figure out the mechanics for that boss and then y'all finally do it right and y'all kill the boss. You feel accomplished, okay? Learning mechanics in a video game is probably one of the best feelings ever, okay? I know some people hate mechanics, but like, just learn the game, bro. Learn the game. A game would be boring if it was just Oonga Boonga all the time. All you gotta do is just shoot enemies all day. It would be boring. Mechanics is what tests players' skills on can they multitask, can they learn the mechanic, can they utilize the mechanic to get the job done, okay? But as always, love you guys, appreciate you guys always, and until next time, stay up.